You're almost at the top of the world. Your legs barely move anymore. And then you see her. A woman frozen in place, knees tucked to her chest, her head tilted slightly like she's resting. But she's not resting. She's been dead for years. This is Everest, not just a mountain. It's a graveyard in the clouds. Some who die here are never found. Others stay where they fall, and a few people become part of the path, landmarks on the trail. Today, I'm going to tell you about 3 women who made it to the summit and never came back. But here's the uncomfortable part. These women were mothers. Maybe that is raising the hardest question of all. Should mothers be climbing mountains like Everest in the first place, knowing the dangers of the mountain and the chances of dying, especially when children are waiting at home? Some say it's selfish. Others say it's no different than a father risking his life for a dream. There's no easy answer, but these stories force us to ask, where is the line between ambition and responsibility? Allison, Frances, and Pasang, 3 mothers from 3 different corners of the earth, each with their own reasons for climbing, each with one last heartbreaking descent. Their stories are not just tragic, they're chilling. Before we dive into the story of these mothers, I just want to say, this is a small channel built on telling human stories from the highest, harshest peaks. If you like my channel, please consider a like and subscribe. It means a lot, and it helps my channel grow. Let's begin with Alison Hargreaves, a mother of 2 from England. By the time she set her sights on Everest, she was already a legend, soloing major alpine routes while raising children. No fanfare, no help, just skill, willpower, and total focus. In 1995, Allison climbed Everest alone, with no bottled oxygen and no Sherpa support. It was an almost impossible feat, and she did it. Reached the summit, took her photo, started the descent, but like so many others, her victory was short-lived. She was 33, her children Kate and Tom waited at home in the UK. She'd probably promised to be careful and that she'd come back, and Everest, she actually beat it. But just a few months later, she set her sights on K2, the second highest mountain. More technical, more dangerous, but Allison wanted to complete something even greater. All 3 highest peaks in one season. On August 13th, 1995, she was caught in a massive storm on K2. Winds reached hurricane force. Visibility dropped to 0. Radio contact was lost. She and her team were blown off the face of the mountain. Her body was never recovered. Only her backpack was found days later, wedged in the ice. The media turned vicious. Tabloids questioned her as a mother. How could she leave her children for something so dangerous? Was it selfish? Irresponsible? But those close to her said the opposite. Climbing wasn't her escape. It was her identity. She raised her children to chase the impossible, and that's exactly what she did. Allison wasn't reckless. She was methodical. Her climbs were studied, prepared, and backed by years of hard-earned experience. But mountains don't negotiate. The storm on K2 didn't care about her plans or her family waiting at home. It struck fast and took everything. Her son Tom Ballard would later become a climber himself. In 2019, he died on Nanga Parbat, another Himalayan giant, just like his mother. A family chasing heights that most of us can't even imagine and paying the ultimate price for it. Next is Frances Arsenyev, born in Honolulu, raised in Colorado, a mother, an adventurer, and a quiet force of nature. She wasn't famous, she wasn't trying to be, she just wanted to become the first American woman to summit Everest without bottled oxygen. She trained hard, climbed high, and in May 1998, Frances and her husband Sergei headed for the top. No Sherpa guides, no backup oxygen. They summited on May 22nd, exhausted, low on supplies, but proud. The excitement didn't last long. Shortly after reaching the top, everything started to fall apart. They spent one night above 8,000 meters, then 2. By the 3rd, Frances was fading. She couldn't speak clearly. She fell repeatedly. Her legs stopped working. Sergei went to get help and never came back. Alone, she collapsed near the Hillary step. The next morning, other climbers found her, barely conscious and slurring her words, crying out for help. They gave her oxygen and water, but she couldn't walk. And up there, helping someone can mean dying too. With heartbreaking hesitation, they left her in the snow. Hours later, she was gone. Her body remained there for 9 years. Climbers nicknamed her Sleeping Beauty. From a distance, she looked peaceful, face turned slightly, arms wrapped close. But for her son, Paul, it was a nightmare. He discovered her fate online, surrounded by headlines and message boards. A mother remembered not by her life, but by her death. Frances wasn't underqualified. She had climbed Denali. She knew the risk. But Everest with no oxygen? That's a gamble even elite climbers fear. Her mistake wasn't dreaming big. It was doing it without enough margin for error. In 2007, a team led a mission to move her body off the main route, draping her in the American flag, a final act of dignity. But her story lingers, a woman who tried to make history and became a legend for reasons she never intended. Our final story is Pasang Lhamu Sherpa, a mother of 3, a trailblazer in a culture where women rarely climbed, let alone led expeditions. She'd grown up in the foothills of Everest, watching men climb, watching foreigners summit, and she kept wondering, why not me? She trained relentlessly, faced years of rejection. In Nepal, tradition often holds women back, but Pasang didn't back down. She failed on Everest 3 times. Each time, she returned stronger, smarter, and more determined. Finally, on April 22, 1993, she did it. Pasang became the first Nepali woman to stand on the summit of Mount Everest. It was a moment that should have changed everything. Her country erupted in celebration. She had done what no other Nepali woman ever did. But her descent would turn deadly. A storm moved in fast. Near the south summit, she fell behind, disoriented and struggling. She was injured in an ice fall and couldn't continue. Her teammates tried to help, but the storm grew too strong. She died that same day, just hours after making history. Her death devastated Nepal. Schools, streets, and scholarships were created in her memory. Statues were erected, but back home, her family mourned a mother who had risked everything to make a statement and never came back. For Nepal, her loss was a national wound. For her children, it was something much deeper, a life interrupted, a mother taken by the very mountain that made her a hero. Her daughter later said she both hated and loved Everest. It gave her a legend, but stole her mother. Pasang didn't just climb for herself. She climbed for every woman in Nepal who had been told no. And though she didn't survive, she opened the door for others. Today, Nepali women climb with pride because Pasang showed them it was possible. 3 mothers, 3 dreams, 1 unforgiving peak. Allison, Frances, and Pasang reached the summit. They had the skill, the drive, the courage. But Everest has no heart. It doesn't care who you love or who waits for you back at home, not even when the one's waiting or you or your kids. These weren't thrill seekers. They were visionaries. They had reasons, families, and purpose. Their stories echo through every gust of wind that screams across the summit. A final lesson for anyone bold enough to climb. Reaching the top means nothing if you never make it back down. The mountain doesn't care about your legacy. Up there, ambition becomes danger, and sometimes bravery becomes a grave. Mount Everest is stunning, iconic. But up close, it's a killer wrapped in beauty, and for every climber who plants a flag, there's someone buried in the ice. And now, it's your turn. What do you think? Should parents, especially mothers, chase goals that come with this level of risk? Or is it empowering for women to show that motherhood doesn't mean giving up personal dreams? The comments section is open. Let's talk about it, respectfully. Everest isn't just a mountain, it's a choice. And sometimes the price of that choice is everything.